The healing aspects of this practice come from redirecting your thoughts, redirecting your focus, actually. It's a process of retraining what you're thinking about. And so if you're uncomfortable or you're in pain and you're trying not to think of that, not to focus on that, there's a lot of techniques in the practice, the breathing, the movement, syncing the movement with the breath that can help bring your focus to something a little bit more positive. So when you're feeling that, to be able to come back to your breath is huge, to be able to just remind yourself that part of you feels uncomfortable. Part of you has cancer, but that's not all of you. There's a whole bunch of other parts of you that really can focus on other things. So we normally start with a yoga class just seated and focusing on the breathing. We've got these little bolsters. If you don't have a little bolster with you, that's fine. You can roll up a blanket, you can use a pillow, but try lifting up just onto the edge of your bolster. So it takes a little pressure out of the low back, makes it a little bit more comfortable to sit cross-legged. You don't have to sit cross-legged. You can always take your legs out a little bit or however you're comfortable. If you're in a bed, you're welcome to just sit upright in a bed as well. So you want to relax your shoulders, soften your belly, and see if you can relax all the muscles in your face. We start by just breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the nose. So I'm going to give you 2 different types of breathing techniques that you can use throughout the entire practice. The first one is just breathing in and out through the nose and seeing if you can make the inhales and the exhales approximately the same length. So they don't have to be exact. I'm just going to give you a few moments here. Take a deep breath in. Exhale nice and slow. And then over the next 3 to 4 breaths, see if you can make the inhales and the exhales about the same length. You're welcome to close your eyes. You're welcome to leave the eyes open. We want to soften the shoulders a little. Keep a nice smooth flow to the breath going. And just let everything settle. Just preparing space for the yoga practice is sometimes calming to the nervous system, gives you a chance to just stop and hold still and soften the body a little. The next breathing technique is to make your exhale significantly longer than your inhale. If you can, make it twice as long. So breathe in and then breathe out nice and slow, long, full exhale. For some people, it's really helpful if they count. You can breathe into the count of 4 and out to the count of 8. And I'll give you a few moments to do that. Just one more time. And then for the next few breaths, just let your breath go back to its natural flow. Relax your belly, soften your shoulders. We're not trying to breathe in any specific way. As we move through the practice, you can alternate. You can choose if either of those techniques kind of help you stay in the moment and stay focused on what we're doing. You're welcome to do that. And I'll often remind you, just take a deep breath in, let out a big sigh, or take a deep breath in, exhale nice and slow. When you exhale slow, when you have a really long exhale, this slows down your entire nervous system, slows down your heart rate, it keeps your blood pressure low, it helps soothe the entire system. So if you're feeling a little anxious or a little edgy, sometimes it helps just to exhale really slow, and it only takes 2 or 3 times. You don't have to breathe like this all day long. So we're going to reset a little bit here. Take a big breath in, let out a big sigh. And you can kind of feel that, right? When you take it, do that again. Big breath in, shoulders come up, everything lengthens, and then exhale, soften. Good. And we're going to add a little bit of movement here. So as you inhale, bring your arms up overhead, let the palms touch lightly together, and then bring the hands right back down through the center. And then reach back out, open the shoulders, inhale, lift up. Exhale, bring the hands down. And so you want to keep this going. You don't have to reach up super high. You can reach right back into the front of the body, bring the hands to the heart. But we're going to try to inhale as we reach out and exhale as we bring everything back to the center. Do that 2 more times. Inhale out. Exhale to the center. Last one. Nice. Release your hands to the sides. Everything that we do throughout this class, you're going to be able to do at different levels, at different angles. There's different approaches. So if it's challenging to bring the arms all the way up, then you're going to bring the arms out to the side and then back to the center. What's important to me during this practice is that you're able to modify all of the things we do in a way that feels really good to you. So if we take our left arm out to the side, go ahead and do that. Left arm comes out to the side. You're going to reach your right arm out to behind us a little bit and then up toward the ceiling and then over towards the front. So if along the way any of this didn't feel right to you, you just come back to the step before it. So we're going to lean into the left a little bit, reach the right arm over, and then come back up to the center. Bring the palms together and then bring the right hand down. A little side stretch here. And again, it doesn't matter how far you go, it matters that it feels good to you and you can breathe in while we do this. So let's try to sync the breath with the movement. Inhale, come up. Exhale, fold to the left. Inhale, back to the center. Exhale, fold to the right. Inhale, back up. Exhale, fold. One more time to the right. And then we're going to keep this flow going. We're going to change the movement. So we're going to twist to the left. And then inhale back up, palms together, twist to the right. Inhale, reach. Exhale to twist. And one more to the right. And back up to the center. Hands back to the heart. Everybody feels good so far? Take a big breath in, let out a big sigh. So we're going to use a little brain power now. We're going to mix those two together. You're going to inhale, reach up. Exhale the left hand down, take the right arm over. And then inhale, back up. Right hand comes down. Now we're moving right into the twist. Inhale, come back up. Twist to the left. Inhale, back up. Twist to the right. Okay, back to the fold. Inhale and fold. Inhale up, fold to the right. Back to the twist. Breathe in and twist. And breathe on. Breathe in, coming up, and twist. Okay, one more time, reach up. And then bring the hands back down to the center and walk your hands forward to the floor. And you don't have to fold very far here. Again, we're not looking to see how far you can fold. What we really want to see is the rounding in the upper back. So you're going to drop the head, round the shoulders, and if it works for you to walk your hands forward, you can walk your hands forward a little bit more. Come into a little bit more of a forward fold. Let your head come down. Take a deep breath up into the back side of the body, and see if you can relax the belly as you exhale. Take one more breath here. And walk your hands back in. And we're going to come into a twist and hold. So you're going to bring your right hand to your left knee, left hand behind the back. When you get into a twist that feels okay, see if you can sit up nice and tall. Draw your left shoulder back slightly and glance to the left. Again, we're not trying to go into a super deep twist, but probably where you're at right now is a deeper twist than you've been sitting in for most of the day so far. So you're already in a different shape. Now we just want to breathe in through the nose, out through the nose. See if you can go back and pick one of the first breathing techniques we practiced. Either even out the breath or make your exhales significantly longer than your inhale. And we'll take 2 more breaths here. Coming back to the center, same thing other side. Lift up and lengthen the spine so you're sitting up nice and tall. Draw the right shoulder back, glance to the right. And then once you get into that twist, take a big breath in, soften the belly, relax your jaw, and we'll take 2 breaths here. Coming back to the center. So if you are sitting up on a bolster, go ahead and remove your bolster out of the way. We're going to do a little bit more rounding for the spine, so it's a little easier to do off the bolster. Hands come to the knees, and then you're going to lift up and lengthen. Get the back up as nice and tall as you can. Lift the chin, look up toward the ceiling, Take a big breath in, and then as you exhale, you're going to tuck the chin and roll, rounding the back, and then lifting, come back up, straighten the spine, lift up, sit up nice and tall, and then rounding, tuck the chin. 2 more times, lift and lengthen, and rounding the back. And 1 more time. And come back to center. So what's nice about that little introduction, that's a little bit of a warm-up, just getting you in the breathing and getting your spine moving, is you could just rewind this tape and do that same thing over again for another 20 minutes of warm-up. But I want to go ahead and take you into a tabletop position and move the spine the same way we just did. So come over onto your hands and knees. You want to bring your wrists beneath your shoulders and your knees beneath the hips. Again, it doesn't have to be exact, just in that general area. Then you're going to let your belly sink down so that you get a little sway in the back. Lifting the chin, glance up toward the ceiling. And then tuck the chin and press up in between the shoulder blades to round. Lower the back, lift the chin, and then tuck the chin and round. Now we're going to try to move in sync with the breath again. So you're going to let the belly sink down, look towards the front of your mat. Take a big breath here, let out a big sigh. And then inhale, rounding. Exhale, release. Good, take a breath, round the back. Exhale, lower down. Good, just 1 more time. Good, and when you come back to the center, you're going to sink back down, hips toward the heels. And then forearms to the floor. And release your head down to your hands. So when you're coming down for child's pose, we just want to get you off of the wrists and the shoulders for a moment. Take a big breath there, big exhale, and then we'll roll back up slowly, come back up to tabletop. From here, I'm going to have you take your left foot back and press back through your left heel, just straightening that left leg as much as you can. Get a little bit of a calf stretch. You don't have to push super hard. And then switch sides. Pressing back through the right heel. Take a breath in and switch sides. So we're going to alternate this. You're going to press back through the left and then switch. Press back through the right and then switch. Keep that going. A lot of people think that they just need a really deep stretch from a yoga practice, but what we find is the more movement you have, the more fluid the muscles slide back and forth across each other, and that increases our range of motion. So we want a little more movement here. And then we'll get to some more stretching after that. Take a big breath in. And then bring both knees back to the center. Tuck your toes behind you so that we open up the feet. Now, a lot of people's toes are going to feel that right away. So if you sit the heels or the hips back toward the heels and walk your hands in, you're going to know how your toes feel about this. So this might be as far as you want to go. If you do this all the time and you love it and your toes are cool with it, you might come back up to where you're seated on the heels, but you want to go in cautiously, see how that feels. We're going to come to standing from here, so however you want to come up is fine. You can roll back up over the toes and come all the way up. Inhale the arms up overhead, hands back to the heart. So just like we started in the beginning, we're going to inhale, reach up overhead, hands back to the heart. Good, 1 more, inhale, lift. Exhale to the center and pause here. Bring your feet in close together. And then go ahead and release your hands down to the sides. So working on a little bit of balance. Take a deep breath in, full breath out. See if you can balance on the very center of your feet. So you're not rocking back to the toes, you're not gripping the mat with the toes, you're not rocking back to the heels, excuse me. And then if it feels comfortable here, if you need to hold on to something, you can do this close to a bed, close to a wall. But what I want you to feel is, if you were to close your eyes or look down to the front of your mat, you're going to start to feel a little bit of wavering in the feet. So your job is to just continually bring yourself back to the center. So keep coming back to the center of the feet. Maybe unlock the knees just a little bit. Good. Breathe in through the nose, breathe all the way out. So when you notice that wavering, that's the first signal that you have to come back to the center. This is your mind working with your body to create a little bit more balance. So it's a good thing to keep coming back to the center over and over. We usually do this to prep for balance poses because it gives you a little bit more stability there. And go ahead and open your eyes. Take a large breath in, arms reach up overhead. Interlace your fingers here, press your palms up toward the ceiling. So you want to squeeze your elbows in just a little and then see if you can bring the biceps back just a little bit towards the ears. Yeah. Take a deep breath in. And then we're going to release the hands behind us, interlace the fingers, press the palms together a little bit, lift the shoulders, squeeze the shoulder blades a little closer together and lift the chin. Take a deep breath in and then slowly release. Arms reach up overhead, hands back to the heart. So we're going to shift into balance poses here. Go ahead and release your arms, kind of shake out your legs a little bit, and we'll turn this direction. So take the feet out just a little bit. And you want to take the feet out wide enough that you can come down into a warrior two pose. I'm going to show you how to do that, but you're probably going to want a little bit wider stance, but if that makes you a little unsteady, feel free to bring the feet in. Turn your right toes to the back of the room, left toes slightly in. And then go ahead and take your feet a little wider apart. Yeah. We're going to bend down into that right knee a little bit, and then we're going to take the arms out to the sides. Then you're going to bring the arms back down. So straighten your front leg as you come up and then lower back down. We're going to do that just a couple times just to get the legs on board with where we're going. Lift and lower. Yep, lift and lower. Okay, so the leg comes up. As you lower down, you're going to take the arms out to the sides and then release the arms. Inhale, exhale. So this way you get to flow through warrior two, building some strength in the legs. And at the same time, you don't have to overdo it with the arms. So you can take the arms up as high as you like. As you get a little stronger and you get a little more flow, you might take the arms up a little higher. Lower down, reach up, and lower down. And if you want, you can take the arms all the way up, bring the palms together, and then lower back down. And one more time. And then we're going to come back into warrior two, arms straight out to the sides, and just hold here for a moment. Really press down through the back foot, really press into your front foot so that you're going to feel a lot of strength and power coming up through the legs. Holding the arms out just as long as you feel comfortable. Take one more breath here. And then go ahead and release. And we're going to turn the other way. So if you want to bring the feet in, shake out the legs a little bit, and then find warrior two on the left side. Turning your right toes in just a little bit. And again, you only want your feet far enough apart that you feel comfortable lowering down and lifting back up. So do that a few times on this side. See if you've got your feet in the right distance apart for you. Everybody's good? And then we'll start the same flow with the arms. So you can take the arms out just as low as you like. And then we're going to straighten the legs. Yep. Good. And again, as you feel comfortable, if you want to take the arms out a little bit higher, that's fine too. So we're just moving through a little bit of a warrior flow to get warmed up, to put some power and strength in the legs, to get the arms and the shoulders moving without any pressure on the joints. Big breath in, full breath out. Good. One more time. And then this time we're going to hold warrior two, so you're coming back in. You're going to really press into both of your feet. Extend your fingertips out. Soften your shoulders. Take a large inhale. Full exhale. And then let's bring it in. Bring your feet in closer together and shake your arms and legs out. So it takes some balance when you're in a warrior two to stay there, but we also want to add a little bit more of a balance challenge. So let's go ahead and face back to the front of the mat. You're going to bring your left heel into your right ankle and bring your hands to your heart. If it feels comfortable to bring your toes off the ground a little bit, you can do that and just put them right back down. If you want to slide your foot up to the calf, you can do this as a tree pose. You can be anywhere in between there. Lift up and lengthen your spine. Good. Take a big breath here and big exhale. And then I'm just going to give you a couple of moments here on this leg to take another breath or two. and then switch sides. Heel to the ankle, hands to the heart. Find a focal point somewhere out front. Soften your jaw. Breathe in through your nose, breathe out through your nose. And we'll take a couple breaths here. And then release. Shake that out. I'm going to have you guys turn this way. Actually, the tree pose is it's kind of a typical yoga posture that's included in almost every class you do. But what I've been teaching more recently and more often is just to stand on one leg. So I'm just going to have you stand on your right leg. You can leave your arms out. Come up onto your left toes and then put a little bend in your right knee. Okay? Now, this doesn't feel like it's all that complicated. This doesn't feel like it's a big deal or a big yoga posture. This is building strength in your right leg, but you feel stable, right? You feel supported, you feel steady. You could even be holding on to something, and if you want this to be more challenging, sink down a little. Now, if you want it to be even more challenging, you can take those toes off the ground, but it's completely unnecessary. It's more fun, but it's unnecessary. Because that way you can just little bits at a time as you progress, you can make this a little bit more challenging. The other thing you can do is sink down even further and make it a little bit more strengthening on your right leg. So I love this for a balance pose. There's not a specific yoga name for it. We call it standing on one leg. Switch sides. Now, when you first start out doing balance poses, unlock your left knee so you have a little bend there anyways, right? And you can release your hands. There's always this, right? We're trying to like balance so they come up. Come up onto your right toes. And then you decide again how much challenge you want to do. Do you want to sink down a little more? Or do you want to take the right toes off the ground a little more? And then breathe. Deep inhale through the nose. Full exhale through the nose. If you need this to be a little more challenging, you can bend the knee a little. You can lift the leg a little. That's it. You can get all the power and strength in the legs even if you're holding on to something here because the legs are doing all the work. Take a breath. Exhale slow. Now, let's go back to the right side. So we did about maybe 20 or 30 seconds on each side. Come back over and feel the right side for a second. Little bend in the knee. Come up onto your left toes. Now lift the chest, find a focal point somewhere out front. Take a very big inhale. Full exhale. You're softening the upper part of your body, but you've got all this power and strength coming in from the bottom. Sink down a little, lift your left toes a little. That's all the challenge you need. If you want to make this even more challenging, stay here for a couple of minutes. 7, perhaps, 8. No, don't stay that long. But that's how you make this a little bit more challenging without doing something that's harmful or dangerous for your situation. Come back to the left side. And we'll do this one more time on this side. What I want you to realize here though, if you're in this balance pose with us and you've been standing on one leg and you've got the knee bent, so you've got a lot of strength and power coming up here, you're balancing on the right toes, you're breathing easily, right? You have a pleasant facial expression because you're enjoying it. You're softening your shoulders, you're relaxing your jaw. Chances are, for the last 2.5 minutes, you haven't really thought about anything else. Right? That's the whole point. You're strengthening your body, you're softening your body, you're smoothing out your breath, you're calming your nervous system, and you haven't thought about anything else for the last few minutes. Shake it out and come back to the front of the mat. Inhale, reach up overhead. We're going to bend the knees deeply here so that we can get the hands close to the floor and step back onto the hands and knees. From here, you're going to cross back over to a seated position and come back to seated. So if you're not on the floor or you're not on a mat, if you're in a bed or you're in a chair, you can just come back to a seated position, rest your hands on your knees, and take a large inhale, let out a big sigh. From here, depending on how much room you have, we're going to do a couple of reclined twists and then a supported bridge pose, and then we'll come down for Shavasana, which is relaxation. Total relaxation, just doing nothing. Go ahead and roll all the way onto your back. Bring your knees up in towards your chest and rock a little bit from side to side. Yeah, just like that. Now from here, take your arms out to the sides, lower your knees over to the left side of your mat. You both have a little bolster there, so if you want to rest your knees on the bolster, that's great. If you don't have a bolster or you're in a different environment, you can slide a pillow underneath your knees. What we want to do here is make sure that you're not using any effort or energy to stay in this twist. Even if your legs fall apart, let your legs fall apart, Laura. Let your feet come down. Yeah, let your feet come down a little bit. So just finding the most relaxing twist that you can create. Let your arms come out to the side and then take a really big breath up into the right side of the body. Let go of the shoulders, soften through the ribs. We're starting to come down to the last part of class, so we're already starting to get into a little deeper relaxation. Breathing in through the nose, breathing out through the nose. Softening every part of the body that you can. And then bringing the knees over to the right side. Same thing here if you want to switch your bolster, or if you just want to let your knees come to the floor, that's fine. And you can let your knees fall apart a little bit. Yep, take the left arm out and then breathe up deep into the left side of the body. Take a big breath in, full breath out. We're letting go of the feet, letting go of the knees, letting go of the hips, softening through the ribs, through the shoulders, and relaxing the jaw and the back of the neck. Take one more breath here. And again, if you're watching this class, this practice on a video, you can pause this and you can stay 2 or 3 minutes on each side. It's just a very relaxing place to be. We also recommend that a lot of people try this before they sleep at night. It's very relaxing for the low back. I'm going to have you guys bring your knees back to the center for a moment and just pause there. Leave the soles of the feet on the floor, let your knees fall together, and take a moment. We're going to move into a supported bridge pose, so you're going to bring the white bolster underneath your spine. So you will want to sit up a little bit. You're going to bring your white bolster. These are pretty soft, they're pretty squishy. This doesn't work quite as well with the harder bolsters, so if you have a pillow or a double pillow, that's perfect. You're going to lay back over the bolster so it lays along the spine, and then take your arms out to the sides. Good. So if you spend a lot of time seated, or you work for a living where you're leaning over patients or sitting behind a car or having to drive for long periods of time, your shoulders just naturally come inward a little bit. It's really common. You hear this in every yoga class and every probably physical therapy appointment. So a little bit of a back bend, fully supported, totally relaxing, easy on the shoulders. If that's not what this feels like to you, then you want to add a couple of pillows or a little bit more support. From here, take as big of a breath as you can get. Exhale as far out as you can. And then let your breath go back to its natural flow. So you're not trying to control it, you're just noticing the natural rise and fall of your body. Now, if this feels comfortable to your back, you could take your entire Shavasana, which is the last 5 to 8 minutes of relaxation in the class. You could stay on the bolster for that. But oftentimes after a minute or two, people really do kind of want to shift and move to a more, to being flat on the mat, to a more neutral position. So when you feel ready, let's take 2 more breaths here. But when you feel ready, you're welcome to come off the bolster and come back to the mat. Go ahead and remove your bolster. Now, you could bring the bolster underneath your knees, and if you're in a hospital, or if you're in a room, or you're in a bed, most likely they're going to have some elevation under the knees for you. They might even have some elevation under the feet for you. So you can do this either way. You just want to come back, go ahead and lay all the way down on the mat. Find as comfortable of a position as you can. So you're letting your arms fall open out to the side so the palms face up. This is going to help keep your shoulders a little bit more open for the same reason we just discussed. You can let your feet fall out to the sides. And then just letting the legs feel really heavy. Seeing if you can soften, maybe wiggle the toes, wiggle the ankles a little bit, and then really soften through the knees and the hips. Letting your belly sink in towards your spine and softening all through the ribs. Relaxing your shoulders across the chest and the collarbone. And letting your arms feel totally supported by the floor, or the bed, or the ground if you're outside. Soften the jaw, the sides of your throat, and the back of your neck. See if you can release any tension in the muscles of the face, softening around the eyes. See if you can identify for you, where's the very center of your body? We're looking for a deep sense of stillness in the very center. Then imagine that that stillness could expand in every direction to every cell in your body. As you settle in and you get a little bit more comfortable, you can shift around a little bit. We're not saying that you need to hold completely still for this to work. Your body's going to settle, it's going to want to shift and adjust. That's fine. It's when you take time to hold still and breathe slow and soften in as many places as you can in the body that it has a lasting impact on the nervous system. So oftentimes you can feel the effects of the practice long after the practice is over. Feel free to stay here as long as you like. We normally let people rest here for 5 to 8 minutes, but that's the end of our practice. Thank you so much for joining us.